So new launch from TaylorMade in the players category. Two irons to take a look at. We've got a new P770 and the new P7CB. Two great looking irons, full of tech, as we always sort of see from TaylorMade. So we're going to run through that. I'm going to give my personal feedback and maybe the type of player that would suit into these clubs, and of course give you some data. So we're going to kick things off with the P770 and then we'll move into the CB iron. So first visual looks of this, a little bit different on the back of the golf club here. Now we've got like this little bar running through the back of the club. Very clean look, as we sort of expect to maybe see from TaylorMade in this players category. P770 logo now is positioned right in the middle, which I quite like. So very clean, very simple on the back. We turn it onto the sole, we'll still see the power slot in the bottom, which we obviously know helps on those low in the face strikes, but a very initial clean sort of look. Now the P790 TaylorMade is probably the most popular iron ever. It's still running. That isn't changing. It'll probably change maybe next year, I'm guessing. I don't know. I'll have a little revamp maybe. Okay, so as always, let's have a look at it straight away in that playing position. It's always the first instincts I look at the golf club, how it sits behind that golf ball. So 770, a little bit more compact in comparison to that 790. So nice sort of compact head there. And what we're seeing in this newer version here now is a slightly thinner top line in comparison to the older version. I've got the older version here. When I say older version, the one that's just been superseded. It's definitely just a little bit slimmer on that top edge. The shape of the club very, very similar. Maybe looks to be an ever so slight less offset on there, but a little bit more of a slimmer top line is probably the big thing that changes in that playing position. Nice rounded toe section. It looks very nice, to be honest, behind that ball. Okay, let's get one hit. That's a great strike for that first shot there. Beautiful ball flight. Quite a lively sort of feel off the club face. As I say, this is a hollow construction head, as we saw the previous model. So you're going to get that little bit of that sort of hollow sound to it. You do sort of see that, but it doesn't feel too excessive. That very nice sort of springy, what felt like a bit of a springy shot off the club face. So club head speed around that 90, typical for me with a 7 iron. Ball speed 124, good ball speed there, carry 177. So where does the 770 sit in the profile of TaylorMade's irons? So hollow construction, the P series stands for player, so obviously the introduction there is the 790, hugely popular for the guy coming out of maybe that game improvement iron that's looking something a little bit more neater. Then the 770 just goes a little bit more compact again. So if you wanted something a little bit more compact, a little bit more loft, that's the key here. So 7 iron in the 770 is coming at 33 degrees of loft. The P790 is 30.5, so we've got a good 2.5 degrees more loft here, which is obviously going to help us to get a little bit more consistency, maybe a little bit more control, not just a power iron. Oh, that feels superb. That feels very good. And I think you can sort of see, well, I can see that with a ball flight there. It's not a low spin bombing ball flight there. You know, that ball's sort of hanging in the air quite nice there. So I know that coming into land, see that land angle at 48 degrees, it's got some decent sort of stopping power. So we've got that forged head, we've got that precision milling on the club face and the groove area. So that's going to help with a little bit of consistency of that spin. Yeah, very, very solid. Really like, for the whole of construction, I really like the feel coming off that club face. Doesn't sound too clicky there, very sort of solid. You know, we'd get a little bit of that forgey sort of feel through the ball striking. So as I say, we've got TaylorMade's sort of flighted CG technology in there, so really finely precise in that CG location throughout the whole set, from that long iron through to the short iron as the demands change through the set. We've got the tungsten weighting in the bottom of the golf club internally here, which is obviously helping to, again, precisely locate that CG, but also create a little bit of that stability on those slight misses. So still providing some good forgiveness there, even though we're going to that more compact sort of head design. Ooh, just pull that a little bit off the toe as well, but do you know what, I can feel that I've got the feedback there, but the flight looked very, very similar to the others, to be honest. Yes, there's no real drop off there, so a little bit of forgiveness help there. Even though I cut that a little bit off that toe of the club, I felt a little twist in there, but I kept up my ball speed, and the front to back dispersion you can see on screen there is pretty tight on those shots I've hit. That's probably the way, if you're demanding that sort of consistency from your front to back dispersion, then that's maybe where this iron has a little bit of an advantage, maybe over the P790 and definitely over the strong, the lofted game improvement irons. As well as that top line being a little bit thinner, they've also redefined and modified the leading edge of the golf club to help with some turf interaction. So it's not staying in the surf too much, it's sort of working in but also exiting a little bit easier. Yeah, really like that. Very sort of solid feel. Looks to be relatively, well, very consistent really. That was a little bit of a better strike, so ball speed is very similar there. And again, there we go, that front to back, very impressive there. So availability wise in these comes from 3-iron all the way through to pitch and wedge, both right and left-handed. And then there's also an A wedge, that gap wedge for right hand only. Right, so moving over, P7CB iron. This looks fantastic. Brings back memories of the rack, TP rack iron, if you ever remember that, just with the look of it visually on the back of the golf club, but it's much more involved, and we're going to obviously run through that now with this particular iron. This iron's gone straight in the bag of Morikawa. I think Tommy Fleetwood used this in the longer irons in the Open Championship, so there's been some good tour presence with this iron going forward. Great looking iron from the back, very clean. Again, satin, yes, we've got these little grooves, tiny little cavity. And I think the thing that looks to me in comparison, this is going to replace the MC iron, which I always felt was, there was a big jump or a big gap from that 770 to the MC in terms of forgiveness. It was quite a small head, that MC. This looks to be a little bit more friendly, a little bit of a deeper cavity there. And I think just in that playing position there, it just looks a little bit more friendlier than the MC. So I think a nice progression then from that 770 into this iron. Great looking iron in that address position. So we've got that sort of, you know, again, squat compact head, little bit of offset, slimmish to medium top line. It's not super thin. So again, 7-iron, and again, this is lofting at 33 degrees. So the same loft as we've gone through that 770. Okay, and that feels very different. That is super soft. That feels, didn't get all of that, to be honest. That felt a little bit heely to me, but that felt really soft off that club face. So these types of irons here, and especially this one as well, comes from a lot of tour feedback from the guys on tour, how they like to sort of feel a golf club. So they've taken some mass and repositioned this by using a slightly lighter material in the toe. This is all internally here. Slightly lighter material in the toe, tiny bit of tungsten here, so just goes through a 5-step forging process, and just before that last step, some tungsten is just inserted into the head a little bit, which just again helps a little bit of stability, but then fine tuning and saving that mass and repositioning it, which is giving us that really soft feel. This is a 1025 carbon steel, so it's soft. It then goes through that forging process, 2,000-ton press. We've got more of a compact grain metal here as well. So all those elements are adding to this super soft feel, and the softest that TaylorMade has ever made. That's what they're claiming, and I would agree off that first hit, to be honest. Oh wow, that does feel fantastic. Beautiful ball flight. It would be a slightly lower launch maybe than the 770 there. 770 definitely got it up a little bit high, and look at those two, they are right on top of each other. Liking that for some consistency. But yeah, the feel is second to none in comparison to that 770. Definitely tell this is a fully forged head. Oh, right, that wasn't quite as clean as the others, maybe just a little bit into the ground, a touch more, but look at that, that's gone the same sort of distance yet again. So again, that front to back dispersion, super tight, left to right, is impressive too. I'm sure I can soon change that, to be honest, but you know, where the ball comes off feels superb. Beautiful, love the feel of that. It's gorgeous ball flight as well. Oh, look at that dispersion, loving this. So I think what they've done to this iron is a good addition there, and you know, making this a little bit more friendly. We've got some tungsten there, we didn't see that in the MC. It looks to be a little bit of a deeper cavity, we didn't see that depth in that MC. So I think we've got an iron here that has that little bit of playability, a little bit of forgiveness there, which I think is always a good thing for whatever level golfer you are, but obviously comes with that very tour inspired sort of look down by that golf ball and that compact head, exactly like the tour guys like to sort of see it. Ooh, right, that'll be a tester. That's a bit low in the face. Flight-wise, looks exactly the same as the others. It'd be interesting to see if there's a drop-off. Yeah, there was a little bit, wasn't there? Just dropped a touch of ball speed there. Spin went up a little bit higher through that slightly lower stripe, but that is one gorgeous feeling iron. Let's go quickly check some numbers out. Pretty typical numbers I'd expect to see from these two irons. They are the same loft, but maybe that springier ball speed off the hollow construction C gives us a little bit more ball speed with the 770 over the CB iron. Launching pretty identical, spins pretty identical, just a little bit with that extra bit of ball speed, tiny bit more yardage there, but two irons that are going to gain us a little bit of control. The big thing for me there was that dispersion from front to back, so we can see the CB iron there from 170.5 to 176, front to back dispersion pretty tight. Even tighter with that 770. That was really impressive, literally like a yard in it on all those 5 shots. That is super, super impressive. So for me, 2 impressive irons from TaylorMade. Post comments down below, let me know your thoughts. Which ones would you go out and try? Love to hear your thoughts as always. Appreciate you watching the video, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.